All right, so I did my first movie critique on Mission Blue, and my name is John Lumley. A little bit of prior knowledge I have on the subject. Honestly, I loved the ocean growing up. We would always go to Ocean City in New Jersey when I grew up in Philly with my family, and it kind of brought me like a sense of relaxation knowing that school was over for the year and I was able to go relax with my friends and my family, be able to stay there. The big thing I had about the ocean coming into this class was that I really didn't know much about it. As much as I love to say I love the ocean, there's so much of the ocean that is unobserved and nobody knows about. And I feel like this movie brought me a higher knowledge of the ocean, and it taught me a lot about it. Coming up next, the purpose of the movie is to educate the youth. There's a large portion of the world that has no idea about the oceans, and even the marine biologists and the people who study the oceans know very little about it. So that just shows how little the rest of the world really does know about it. It showed the beauty of the oceans and the organisms that live in it, from coral reefs to sharks to fish, whale sharks. There's so much of the ocean that is beautiful, and there's just a lot about the ocean that is awesome and so cool to me. When I say show the horrors, I don't mean the horrors of the ocean. The movie showed the horrors of what can happen to the world if we don't have the oceans, whether you care about the oceans or not. The rest of the world is greatly impacted by the oceans, from the tides to the animals that we eat to the rest of the ecosystems that come along with the ocean. The impact it had on me was it gave me a greater understanding of why we need the oceans and how truly cool it is. The ocean is truly beautiful, from the pictures that Dr. Sylvia showed and the videos that she showed and the life that she lived. I remember her saying if the rest of the world saw what I did, they would be as crazy about it as I was. The last thing that had an impact on me was the need for change, and the most specific reason was the sharks. The sharks are one of the top of the food chain in the ocean, and I remember a section of the movie showing that people hunting down sharks and just cutting off their fins and throwing them back, and it's disgusting that people would do that just to put their fins in a bowl of soup. So the need for change in that aspect is huge. The ocean needs sharks, which means the rest of the world needs sharks to live. Also, the coral reefs, Dr. Sylvia went to a coral reef that she was at when she was much younger, and when she went back, she was truly amazed that it was a wasteland. It's all bones of old coral reefs that used to be alive. So we really need to do something about the oceans. In conclusion, what am I gonna do to help it? I'm just one person. So what can one person do to help? Well, the biggest thing is one person can motivate other people to make a change, and that can motivate more people, and it's just a never-ending cycle of getting people to help save the oceans. And by doing that, you can avoid big markets for fish like tuna. Tuna are severely hunted by big giant boats that cast nets out there, and they catch hundreds of fish. I've grown up watching the show called Wicked Tuna, and they are extremely against that as well, because one, it takes away from their livelihood, and two, if all fishing was individual people going and catching a couple fish here and there, the oceans would be in a much better place. But it's the large fisheries that take away from the ocean and make a great impact. So I believe that if I'm able to make a change and I'm able to motivate other people to make a change, then the oceans will be in a much better place.